Okay, everybody, it's me, Bonkai922. Wistoria, Wanted Sword, Season 2, Episode 10. This was called... Moment. Hoping, Blooming, Thundering. You'll soon mean what that means. Okay, so... Last week we had Will going to his origins. Freaking... you know, that's funny because Finn says... No, well, no, know your roots. That's what it was. It wasn't origins that the witch said told him to go find his roots. Origins, roots, you know. He goes back in time, basically. And we saw this from last week. I told us about this last week. And now, they get late. They get there late. Of course, Mr. Prim and Proper, four-eyed douchebag. This guy's name. Harlan Klutz is saying, dismissing them and says, oh, we'll take guardianship. Yeah, as test subjects, right? Yeah, I don't think so. So, they get there late. A bunch of other people get chosen for the Dark faction, Wind faction. 2 get chosen for the Fire faction. They get there late. In a surprising move, Elfie chooses Julian for the Ice faction. The reason for this is she doesn't want him helping Will, because Will's got this. And sure enough, he does. Because on command, he remembers the past, he remembers what happened, and on command, he activates his sword, and a blue light goes through it. The sword is very unique because Finn is actually there too in this episode. And he's talking to the witch, who happens to be the headmaster from the school. She's not actually old. She's young. So, the sword that they created in the center is a gem. A Whis gem. And this supposedly will allow Will to use Whis, but easy. Now he puts it on command. And he's got, it's basically like a beam in the center of the sword. And he uses it against these creatures that he showed him last time. He done deal. Mr. Klutz decides to go in a nervous breakdown. It can't be, it can't be! Like a whining little brat. Now, the other Magia, you get it from the Dark Magia, Magia Vander, for the Dark faction, from the Wind faction, even the Earth faction that Colette's part of. They all saying how it's unprecedented. They don't know how to deal with Will. I'm going to say to these people, yeah, and you think the best thing to do is allow this creepy, four-eyed douche nozzle who likes to carve up bodies, leave it to him. Yeah. Surprisingly enough, even though he's persisting, Cruz, and Elfie doesn't get involved because she can't, Theo steps in. And he's like, yo, enough of you assholes, enough of you douche nozzles. Talking is pointless. Let me just blast. That's what he does. And here's the thing about him. I think it's a mistake for Will. Listen, I know this goes against the narrative. And I know the whole bit with Elfie and Will, but in the grand scheme of things, in the real grand scheme of things, Will needs to go to the Thunder faction. Only because I say this because of the way Zio is, Zio Reinbold. He fights differently than the other Magiavander. He's more close combat. That's the difference. You get the Fire faction and the Wind faction and the Elf faction, Ice faction. They all use wands. He doesn't. He uses a staff, but still, it's not the same. His fighting style is completely different. And more importantly, his fighting style matches up with Will. Because of the fact that Will uses a sword. And because, okay, he uses a staff, but because he's more of a close combat, barbarian type Magiavander, yeah. Now, he fires off this. There's no way to dodge this spell. I was like, holy shit. I liked how they animated it though, too. At the point of when he leashes it, it's a yellow lightning. And then it goes to white and black. And if Will did this, I'm going to say this right now. If Will had to go through this at the first bloom, he'd be dead. That's a fact. He would have died outright. But because it's the second bloom, and because he's already gone through the training of knowing what Whis is, how he can control it, the instant the spell comes into the proximity of his blade, it gets absorbed. He just eats it. And goes into the blade. He does get some damage from the lightning, but not as if it kills him. And you see Elfie scream, "Well!" But nothing happens. He absorbs it. Zio laughs his ass off, and then that's it. And then Kurt's he's still, and then Zio's like, okay, that spell I just fired, well, he didn't say this exactly, but I'll fire it at you. He's like crawling on the fucking ground like a roach into the wall, and he accepts to allow Will to go to the faction. Now, here's the funny part. Elfie's so happy. She's crying. She says, "No, don't cry. You smile." Here comes Zio. Grabs him. And I love the fact that Colette is like grabbing the stone. Like, dude, lady, girl, listen, Colette, no offense. Get off it. He grabs Will and shocks him a few times with lightning. And now Zio is stating he wants it for the Thunder faction. But obviously Elfie doesn't want that. And she grabs Will and she says to him that I will. And this results in a battle, which we're not going to see until next week. It's funny, too, because while this is happening, Colette makes a comment about, Now, Zio's second in command makes a comment also about how, blah, 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 blah. Now, this fight's going to happen next week. And I believe the title of the episode is called Ice and Thunder or something. Now, I kind of know how this gets resolved. Even if Elfie wins this fight, because I know the result, but I'm not going to say what it is. Even if she wins this. I'm still making this very clear point. Will really shouldn't be with any faction aside from the Thunder faction. Like I said, it more has to do with Zio, how he fights, how he, the whole bit with his whole mantra. And rating wise, I'm giving this a 9 out of 10. Very, very well done. Next week's going to be whoo-hoo. It goes on for the whole, I believe this is going to happen for the whole episode. And episode 12, we're going to get the conclusion. And that's how they're going to end season 2. Which is pretty boss. Which I pretty much thought that that's how they were going to end it, one way or another. But 9 out of 10 for this one. Kurtz gets put in his place. Will finally gets acknowledged. Take it or leave it. He's kidding. There's so many women who want his, Elfie, Colette, the one who is part of the Light Clan with Aaron. I think her name is Iris. Is that her name, Iris? Let me look that up real quick before I end this video. I believe it's Iris. My apologies. Yes, it's Iris. Iris too was like making googly eyes for Will. Anyway, that's basically what happens. Good episode, 9 out of 10. We got 2 more in this heat. It's gonna be pretty awesome. I'll see you guys later.